sentence, explanation, and example. Did this person do that?
Yes.
To express the meanings clearly? Yes? Okay, so what's the topic sentence?
Questions?
It's not knowledge, but education, but action. Okay, so action is very important. I think there are still many da. So is that good in terms of explanation? Before example. I think there's so many things that knowledge cannot replace and only action can make us understand clearly. Is that it? That's an explanation? Remember, explanation is like reasons or more explanation about the statement. The great aim of education is not knowledge but action. So does this statement explain the previous idea more clearly? No, it doesn't. Okay? So in order to show the topic sentence more clearly, you need to explain how action is more important than knowledge. You need to say action provides the motivation to learn knowledge more. And then, for example, for a student to get an A on whatever course, it is very important that students follow an action plan and so on and so forth, right? So this actually doesn't follow. Okay? Is that clear? So when you talk about the effectiveness structure, it's always very important to keep that in mind. Topic sentence, explanation, example. If you don't have a good explanation, your examples will be bad. It will not support the explanation, right? So I won't torture you anymore. Okay, so as I said earlier, we talked about supporting your ideas, right? Does anybody know, before I go on, how many ways can we use to support our ideas? And what are the ways? Does anybody know? Examples, evidence, statistics. People love statistics, right?
Anecdotes.
Authoritative. So if it's a professor's words, it must be right. Not always. All right, so, and effective support, I will go through this quickly. You can clarify your ideas. I can reinforce your idea, okay? So I won't go into this too much. You can read it, but I want to move on to different methods of examples. The first method is what all of you know, examples. But there are three types of examples. Brief example, extended example, and hypothetical example. Brief example is the example you see earlier about riding a bicycle. It's a short, one statement kind of example. It could be research, it could be just a statement to support a student, what some students say, and so on and so forth. We can also have extended example. An extended example is where we share a little story. We share a narrative is another word for story. Or we develop a personal experience, but that requires a little context, that requires a little more explanation. So it's extended. And by the word extended, you know it's at least 3-4 sentences or more. And a brief example, 1, 2, okay? And then we have hypothetical example. You know what this is? If, okay, my students love this. If whenever they do this in speech, they would say, oh, I prefer this because this is important. For example, if we don't do this, then it will be bad. That kind of thing. So when you use hypothetical example, make sure that your ideas are not in circular motion. Many people, when they use hypothetical example, they go back to the original idea by saying, if you don't, then what would happen? But that's not how you should use hypothetical situation. Even in hypothetical situation, you need to be specific. Imagine this. Imagine you're trying to do this, and imagine that you have nobody to help you. What would be the consequence for this kind of thing? That's how detailed you need to be for hypothetical situation. Students love it, but it's not easy to use as an example. So that's one way to support your explanation. Next, everybody's favorite, statistics. But when you use statistics, you need to be careful. Are the statistics representative? That is, the number that you get from, are they from, are they representative enough, for example? Or are the statistics measures correct, okay? For example, we know about mean, median, and mode, right? You guys know a little statistics concept. And when people say the mean salary of 72,000 versus 59,000 for a medium salary, which looks more, 72,000, right? And 59,000 seems less. But one is the mean, the other one is the median. In fact, the medium is actually more. Okay, so you need to think about how you want the statistic to support what you want to say. So in other words, you need to make sure that these numbers that you use to support your examples can help you explain what you want to say correctly and meaningfully. Okay. Another thing about statistics is it from a reliable source? Encyclopedia versus Yahoo chat room. Oh, I got this number because Yahoo chat room said, whatever, it's not reliable. So make sure that the information you have is reliable. So statistics is one method. Now, the next method is testimony. Do you know testimony? Yeah? There are two kinds to a testimony. Expert testimony, that is expert's view. So my view on speaking English effectively. But that's my view, okay? It's not everybody's view, but my view. And I call myself an expert because I teach oral language and I do research in the oral language. So I consider myself half an expert. I haven't published enough, but anyway, my expertise is in spoken language. Okay, so my testimony, my view, my example. Similarly, we won't go through the example. You can also have peer testimony. Do you know what that is? Peer testimony, yeah. You know direct marketing, like Amway. Does everybody know Amway?
Yeah.
Amway.
Yeah.
They love peer testimony. I use this to clean my washroom, and so effective. My house is so clean. Do you want to try it? Or they do a little experiment. That's peer testimony. My friend told me, or I used it, and so effective. It's such a great thing. That's peer testimony. Can you use it to support what you want to say? Of course. Okay, but you have to use it adequately. Okay, so it's a first-hand experience, and that's peer testimony. So these are different methods you can use to support yourself. Okay, in terms of testimony. All right. So to review, we have examples. Brief, extended, hypothetical, and we have the use of statistics. Be careful when using them, and we have peer expert testimony. Okay? Now, that really concludes my presentation quickly. Now, I won't go through the example. I always like to introduce a little practice before we depart. And I was told I can extend your lunchtime for 10 minutes. So I will give at least one person to try this question with our structure. Some college students choose to take courses in a variety of subject areas in order to get a broad education. Others choose to focus on a single subject area in order to have a deeper understanding of that area. Which approach to course selection do you think is better for students, and why? Okay, 2 minutes for you to think about, and then we'll get one lucky person to share their answer. Yeah, you can discuss with your next door neighbor if you are so lucky to be picked.